Okay, thanks. Hey, welcome everyone. If you haven't been here before, my name is Anne Marie McGee. I'm a Philanos board co-chair, and I'm also co-chair of the communications committee. And my partner in crime as the other co-chair of communications is in Ireland right now. So I am on my own today. I'm solo, but I will be fine. I also want to introduce Nancy Clark, who is our wonderful administrator and keeps us all straight. And I don't know what we would do without her. And I think some of you may have interacted with her if you had questions, or she's the best resource. Start with Nancy because she always knows where to go, or she knows where to point it. So we'll start with that way. So today's topic is communications committees. And I know one of the comments we've heard over at least since I've been doing this for the past couple of years is, I'm a lone ranger. I'm the only one that does it. Once in a while, I can coerce someone into helping me. And so, as we all know, the more people you engage, you're also training someone to take your place. So there's a little bit of leadership succession, or you're going to be in servitude to your circle forever. And that may be something that you want to do, but probably not. So there's always a way to navigate this, and in different ways. So the first thing I apologize, I actually had foot surgery about 3 weeks ago to fix a fractured foot. So I have 33 more days of non-weight bearing. And so it's a little odd when I Zoom, but I'm doing my best. So anyway, that's part of it. But I'm doing well, and the foot surgery went as well as could be expected. And now I have to do my part and stay off of it and let it get better. So that's where I am. But okay, so moving on, the communications committee. So first of all, let's just go around and say, just introduce yourself in your circle, and please put it in chat. We love seeing that too. But also share, are you the Lone Ranger? Do you have a committee? And just we'll quickly go around and get a sense of that. So I'll start. Barb Meyer.
Hi there. I'm from Spirit of St. Louis Women in St. Louis, Missouri. I have been the chair for about a year now. I have a great committee, but my committee has all done the leadership role before. So they are not interested in stepping up and doing, more than the occasional ask for something. They have lots of experience and, great kind of wisdom to share, but they really don't want to be doobies, and I don't have anybody coming up behind me, and that really concerns me.
Okay. So succession. Okay. Yeah. That's great. Well, not great, but that's a good topic. So, Dawn.
I'm Dawn Erdman. I am the current board vice president for the Roanoke Women's Foundation, incoming president for next year. I'm the liaison to the communications committee because we could not find anybody on the board who would chair the communications committee. We have, sounds like the same kind of issue that Barb has. Nobody wants to be in charge. Nobody wants to take it over. They've done their time. We hodgepodge people together. One will do the newsletter and the newsletter only, and one will do send the emails and do our constant contact, but only that. And nobody wants to pull them all together. So succession planning, a big deal.
Okay, thanks. Ellen, thanks for joining. And we are going around and just asking the current state of your committee, or lack of committee, or what you do. I know you have experience with this. I'll also add Ellen is a member of the communications committee for Philanos. So
you can hear me okay, Anne-Marie?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm a member of Impact 100 South Jersey, and we have always had a communications committee of which I've chaired. And it's really, I missed what everybody said. I apologize. But what we do is in the beginning of the membership year, we ask everybody who wants to be on the different committees. And we often get like 6 or 7, and it's usually communications professionals who want to be on the committee. So, and it works well. We meet quarterly, not too much, unless we have something comes up. And then if we need everybody, And we try to find everybody's strengths and let them volunteer for what they're comfortable for.
Okay, thanks. Heather.
I had to click my audio. I'm Heather Dubuff, founder and chairman of Nevada Women's Philanthropy. We've been in business for 20 years. Our committee chair for communications has been with us for 20 years. She's a powerhouse. She does it all her alone. And I think she kind of likes it that way. But now that we're launching ourselves into our 21st year, I am worried about succession or being too dependent on any one committee chair should they not be able to serve for any reason. So I tried to get her to come on here so we can start a dialogue on what it looks to at least get her one more person and maybe try to divvy up some of the chores. But she couldn't make it, so I'm here taking notes and going to bring it back to her.
Okay, and remember, there's a recording, so she can watch the recording. She can
you.
pretend she was here. So,
Good,
okay,
thank you.
Judy.
From Impact Austin, and I'm the chair of the marketing committee. At times we have had co-chairs, and I miss my co-chair. But for at least 10 years, the committee has not been part of the board. So we have a board of directors and we have a committee cabinet with all the committee chairs. That means there's no liaison to the board except via our staff person. So we do have a committee. And everyone sort of has their strengths, and everyone has varying degrees of time commitment. And that provides the rub. So a lot of tasks do fall on me. I probably work for Impact Austin 10 to 20 hours a week, and I have let the board know that I will no longer be chair as of June 30th, 2026. So I gave them nearly 2 years notice. I'll still be on the committee. I'll still do some of my work. But in our case, as chair of a committee, you also have to attend committee cabinet meetings. I also have a weekly meeting with our admin. I also liaise with an events committee or the membership committee. It's a lot. And so we are looking for a new leader. We have a new member joining us who wants to get really involved, and she is in my sights.
The radar. Thanks. I also want to add that Judy is a member of Impact Austin. Impact Austin is a host for us with our Fill in Us conference, which will be February 8th to the 10th, 2026 in Austin. And she's also helping us on the communications committee for the conference. So it's been really fun to get to know her, and she's extremely talented, and Impact Austin will have a very hard time replacing you as chair. That's for sure. So Karen.
We're a small giving circle, and communications is we're in the greater Washington, D.C. area, giving together. And probably our communications activities are the least popular of anything that we do or get participation on. So it's been kind of a challenge. So I chair it. I used to have a co-chair. And she dropped off, but she was very good with social media, and I am not. I'm better with the website, and we also have a very good, member volunteer webmaster. So the website is much more manageable, but the social media is a challenge. And I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Not good timing. So anyway, I'm also, so it's very difficult for me. We have a committee, but I don't refer to it as a committee because that implies ongoing responsibility, and I get a lot of blowback on that. So when we meet, we call them brainstorm sessions, and just to get ideas, to get volunteers for different activities. We have a social media calendar. It would be great if we had regular content providers, but among our members, but we really don't.
So it's very sporadic, which isn't good for Facebook or LinkedIn.
Right.
So so we probably will have to hire someone to run our social media. Maybe someone who is a freelancer who won't charge too much. So that's kind of what we're looking at, because we don't have regular content providers. So and I have a lot of stuff going on right now in my personal life. My elderly mother lives with us, and she has dementia, and she's hard of hearing, and it's a big responsibility. So I really don't have a lot of time to devote to communication. So it's very challenging in our organization. We're very small, so that limits our volunteer universe. And so we get a lot more participation on grants or community service than we do on something like this.
Okay. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Competing with the grants committee, competing with the liaison community service committee it's a challenge. And often community or communications professionals will sometimes say, I want to do something different. I don't want to do my day job. So there's always different challenges. You have to find the right person. How large is your circle?
We have 130 members.
Okay. So
we have new members. We have a lot of new members. So I think in September, I'm going to go out with a request to members for two things. One is people who would be interested in providing content. So and maybe some of our new members have some experience in that area and would be more willing to do it than our ongoing members. And then also, do they have any knowledge of someone who might be willing to provide, that we could pay to provide the service, a freelancer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll offer one thing that I did several years ago. I'm a member of Impact 100 Redwood Circle in Sonoma County, and I chaired, co-chaired, and then co-chaired the communications committee, marketing committee there. We called it marketing. And I found a woman, she was on the membership committee. She didn't want to be on the communications committee, but she was a former journalist. And I said, what about writing a series of stories? And so we profiled 12 different members. And these weren't just like who they were. I mean, she dug deep and found some really interesting things about them. That was one of the most popular things we did. But it also provided quotes about how they felt about being part of Impact 100. I mean, that gave us a year and a half of content to use to fill in, especially when you're like, what else do we do? And members loved it. They actually started reading them, and would comment about it. So it was a win-win-win. So that's one thing I'll throw out is you might find somebody that says, I'll do something that's, has a start and a, end to it. And then someone else helped find the people. She didn't have to go find them. They just sent her the information, the contact, and she wrote and she interviewed and wrote. So it's looking for ways to break it down too and make it so someone says, okay, yes, I could do that. But then someone has to manage it too. I think that's a theme we're hearing here. So Maggie.
Hello, I'm from Impact 100 Greater Milwaukee. We recently have kind of been going through a rebrand with our communications department. So last year I was the communications chair, and then this year we split our communications into a communications director and then a marketing and branding director with chairs underneath. So I'm the marketing and branding director. So now handling like social media, all types of like internal press releases, stuff like that. And then our communications really focuses on, I also handle social media, but then our communications team handles like the system, the website, different things like that. And we have also struggled to get chairs because a lot of people don't want to work in communications necessarily. So what we've pivoted to is more like one person handles press releases, one person handles our website, one person handles like setting up our events on our website, stuff like that, just because communications is a lot of work and it's working with a lot of different people. And then we also have pivoted to having kind of like a liaison for each event. So each one of our major events throughout the year, we have a chair of the event, and then they can report to communications. So we're able to get everything we needed. And then last year we also pivoted to do some other different communication stuff. But that's
Okay.
that's
I
me.
love that idea of a communications or that event liaison, so you get the communications detail, because that is one that sometimes it gets thrown over the, they said, okay, we need this like 2 days from now or tomorrow, and then they think you just push a button, and like, oh, if you told us, if we'd had a few weeks, we could have planned this. So I love that idea. And it sounds like you're spreading out the work more. So,
Yeah.
So good luck. Margaret.
Hi there. Sorry, I have to take this on my phone, so it's a little wobbly because I'm going to have to halfway through hop in the car. So I thought I'd start on the phone. Great to see you all. I really enjoy these roundtables, if we want to call it that way, the Comms Club. I've learned a lot from them. I keep learning from them. As you can see in the comments, I'm just the recent past president, finished 18 months as president of Anne Arundel Women Giving Together. I've worked in nominating and governance before that for many, many years. So I've watched our marketing and communications committee really struggle for leadership, a struggle for consistency, struggle to build a committee. And it's not that I have the answers, it's just that my professional background has been in overseeing both resource development and communications, in addition to a lot of other things at nonprofit organizations. So I have a somewhat of a sense where I know what good looks like. My goal is to get us to good and functional. We've been limping along with thank goodness, due to the incredible talents of a past president. You may know Linda Eggbeer, who's been involved with Philanos for a long time. She was incredible, and we've only just in the last year been able to move her from chairing this committee and even coming back to chair it when it was in crisis to being an ad hoc committee member. So we're making progress because there's no replacing Linda, but we really need to build a committee. So job one in the first month on the job, I'm pleased to say, I think, knock wood, we have our first marketing and communications committee. We have 7 people, which I think is a lot. I'm still a little nervous we don't have enough. We've gotten each one of them pretty much to volunteer for very specific, discrete tasks. One of the intimidating factors, as you've already mentioned, is the scope of our committee and yours is just so huge, right? And it really ranges. And there isn't one person, in my opinion, who can do it all, nor is there one skill set that would be appropriate for all that has to be done. So we've just worked, we're very fortunate, it goes back to, in terms of the how we recruited, very fortunate to have worked with, for a number of years, I worked with Sue Pitchford to get, who you may know from her work both on the Austin conference and also through our membership, and she's presented a lot about membership and the strides we've made to see if that can be helpful to others. At any rate, Sue loves data, and I love helping to put together things that are going to work on not specifically the engineering of the back end, but that can really help sustain an organization and help us do better. So we started to ask some very different questions on our member profile. And we've had a lot of growth in the last few years on membership, so that's a good thing. And the good thing also is that we've been capturing better data on what are people interested in. So Sue pulled me a list of about 35 women who somehow, somewhere in their profile had mentioned one of the many, many different activities that might overlap with what we do in marketing communications. And I sent out a recruiting email to all of them. And, I was not expecting to hear from anybody. So I was kind of happy that about 6 people responded. I also personally recruited, I guess one of those personally recruited our assistant chair, who hopefully will succeed me in a year. And she's great. We've worked together in a nonprofit setting before. So I knew her, and we've got a good rapport. At any rate, to make a long story hopefully a bit shorter, our first committee meeting is next week, and we're in the process of meeting one-on-one with each of the members to get them revved up, and that's going well. We've just divided this committee and the tasks up, as I said, very specifically. I know that the group, I'm very pleased to say, has a whole lot more experience than I do on everything that needs to be done. So I'm really looking forward to learning from them and having their input on how to best organize this. We're trying to get an overall calendar going for the whole 12 months. We have our most major grantee and grants event on September 30th. So we have a whole Marcom plan for that. And lastly, I would say, and I kind of lucked out on this, though I would say I've been thinking about it for probably 4 years to try and figure it out, is knock wood again. We've successfully recruited our first ever volunteer intern. She's an undergraduate who's majoring in marketing with a minor in communications. She's a rising sophomore. And she's willing to work from anywhere, and she'd love to get the experience continuing into the academic year. So, I'll do anything to keep her happy because I need her, to plug holes all over the place. I don't want to say we're going. The best thing I can do is saying getting this going from 0 to 60. When our social media person moved to South Carolina in February and we were dead in the water because we had no bench. Scary thing, I made my first AAWGT posts on Instagram and Facebook yesterday. And it worked. I can't believe it. I don't want that job, but I can't believe I figured it out. Thank God somebody else did the content and the reel and the post and they wrote the stuff. And then I discovered that we have a LinkedIn page. It's a closed group. I mean, why would we want to open it up publicly, right? So I'm working on that one. I've gotten it closed, and I'm trying to stand up a new LinkedIn page. And I just would say thank goodness for people who are really interested in this, who are under 40 and wanting to help out. Anyway, long story. I shared that only to say I commiserate with you. I'm ready to learn from you even more. You've already been so helpful in some of the best practices of giving circles, and whatever you can share with me to see that we can keep this new effort on the rail. I think we're probably now at about 30 miles an hour, headed for, I hope, a legal 70, 75. All right,
No,
I'm sorry to take so long. It's just such a
no.
joy to be with you. Thank you.
And Margaret, thank you for sharing. You shared several things in there.
I know.
The concept of an intern, I'm going to come back and talk to in a moment, but thank you for doing that, because I know that is something that it's popular, and especially in this, you're giving someone a chance to get some real hands-on experience. And there are women out there that would like to do that. And if they have an interest in philanthropy, even better, but otherwise they're going to learn. So
for sure. And if I was part of the table for chairs last 18 months or a year, and if I found shared content really helpful. If I'm more than happy, because my stuff's all in draft form, but I'm more than happy to share the scope of our committee, how we're organizing it. I don't know if you guys know about PESO, but it's kind of the approach to marketing and communications, particularly for nonprofit organizations. I'm happy to share a graphic I found on the internet. If any of that would be helpful to you guys, whatever I can do.
Yeah, no, feel if there's things you want to drop in chat now, please do, and then we can share.
Okay. Well. Thanks.
No, thank you. Let's see. The next, Maureen. And I want to Maureen is also a Philanos board member, and she'll introduce her circle, and she heads our governance committee. So essentially our slating and recruiting people for the Philanos board and our Philanos committees, and she's fabulous. So.
Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. And I'm writing down everybody's names. I'm with Impact Las Vegas, and unfortunately, I did communications myself for so long that when I needed to step away from it, that it was not the easiest thing to do. One is because I know we should break it down into individual tasks and stuff, but sitting down and defining all of those individual tasks, other than general tasks like website, newsletter, social media, has not been as easy as I hoped. So this year I completely stepped away, and everything went away except they did take over the website and got a new website up and running. But we still have to figure out how to recruit people to do the individual tasks, because just asking them to be on the committees, it won't work. It doesn't happen. They think it's just too much or they don't know enough, or they're not confident enough about their ability to do it. So yeah, we need every help that everybody's giving. And I was typing the response back to Judy as you was for her feedback on the social media saying, oh my God, this is great. I'm going to share it.
Yeah.
So I need everybody's advice about how to get a committee really that works and how to break it down into individual tasks. That's my number one.
Okay. No, thank you. Let's see, Sarah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Dove. I'm actually with Anne Marie's Circle in Sonoma County. And since Anne Marie left marketing, we've been working hard. So we have two co-chairs. We have a very large committee, and they're all assigned to different roles. I would say that our biggest challenge is finding backup for every one of those roles. So many people travel, and they travel all year round at different times. And so we're always trying to plug those holes. We do have a virtual assistant that we pay, and she can jump in and do some of that work as long as we get her scheduled in advance. And so that's been really helpful. The best way that we have found talent, people with the skills that we need, is to attend all of our new member orientations and make direct contact with new members as they introduce themselves. And we make a beeline to them. We actually know who's coming to those new member orientations, and we look them up on LinkedIn and find out what their skill set is. And we go for them because you're right. People want to gravitate towards grants right away. And we have to talk them into the marketing communications roles. Someone said earlier, if you've had that kind of career, you may not want to use those skills in a nonprofit. And we do find that as well. But some of the things that we have done, or one of the things that we've done, is to assign small, discrete projects to use people's expertise. And that seems to work pretty well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, recruiting them ahead of grants is always a really good idea, and making it, communications, you're going to have so much fun and you're going to learn all about what goes on, but you don't really learn what's in grants. It's kind of oversell there. So let's see, Rita.
Hi, I'm Vita Shapiro. I just finished my first year on the board of Many Hands DC, and I think I got onto the communications committee because I was new, and I said, what do you need help with? And they said, oh my God, we can't find anybody to do comms. Could you please help? So, I'm not, it's been a year and a challenge of stepping up my tech skills to some extent. And of course, we're all following in the footsteps of Mary Kwok, who I'm sure many of you know, who worked 80 hours a week and figured everything out and became our website person and just loved doing it and did everything. Our current board chair is pretty tech savvy, but she didn't want to do what Mary was doing in terms of it, the all-encompassing communications work. So she recruited me. She and I were co-chairs this past year. We have a very small committee, about 4 people. And while we did try to convene meetings, I didn't find that they were terribly productive. And I think with such a small committee, giving each person an individual responsibility has proven to be more valuable. So I basically took on the newsletter, the monthly newsletter, and so Karis Kettleman, our board chair, was teaching me a lot of skills. And for the coming year, I now have a co-chair. And for me to be teaching someone else how to do constant contact is hilarious, but I'm 2 steps ahead in the manual. We did another important thing this year in that we hired a part-time web person who's also doing our social media. So we just hire her on an hourly basis. And so we realized, getting organized for the coming year, we've done a planning calendar. And of course, we have to try to brainstorm the content for the web person, the web social media person, but we're hoping also that she can generate some content on her own also. One person specifically is in charge of our impact report, which is basically a very short annual report. Another thing that we started this year is a grantee liaison program, which isn't strictly comms. It's mostly we award 4 grants each year. It's a point person from Many Hands to just check in with the existing grantees, not to put a heavy burden on them because we don't do any kind of, you have to file reports and whatever, but to amplify and promote any news that they have, not their specific fundraisers other than at Christmas time if they're doing, little fundraiser things. But this program has been useful. We're going to figure out how we can leverage it even further so that we can keep, the loop and put it in our newsletter and on our socials, what our current grantees are up to. The person who's managing that is not a board member. She's a former journalist and she's written some web articles for us too. So we have basically 4 board committee members and a non-board volunteer at the moment. So we want to try some new things for the coming year. So this is really helpful just to see what's been working for other people. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. I will say in Impact 100 Redwood Circle, and Sarah, maybe you want to talk about it, because I think all those articles that are featured in the monthly newsletter from the liaison committee on the grantees, that provides a rich source of content too for communications. Do you want to, I think the liaison committee writes them all, right?
Yeah, they actually come from the nonprofits to the liaison, and then they get to marketing, and we get them in our newsletter and on the website.
Yeah.
We do the
Yeah.
same at Impact 100 South Jersey. The grantees write them, and then they give them to us.
Okay. Yeah, no, they've been really, they're
Yeah.
interesting to read, and the members like them, and yeah.
Yeah, same here. A lot of engagement.
Yeah, it does. Let's see, Penny.
Hi, we do that too. We get the reports 4 times a year, or 3 times a year, I think, and we put ours into our newsletter. I'm Penny Turner. I'm in Chicago, Impact Grant Chicago, which has been around. We're going into our 9th year now. I've been with the group since then. I've been the communications director for the last 4 years, going into my 5th year, with another co-director. I have a new co-director this year. My other one switched out for another role. Co-director or directors are always on the board, so we're always in the know. Our board has maybe, I don't know, I feel like there's maybe 20 people on it now because it's a real working board. Every person really is involved in a very involuntary, I mean, I don't even know how many hours sometimes that we spend doing it. We have 442 members. Let's see, I would say we split out the two, my co-director and I, we don't have a committee, so it's just the 2 of us. I put about 80 emails a year, which include upcoming events, newsletters, how to get involved with the GRC. We do everything that's attached to MailChimp. And generally I do most of those, although that my co-director does the newsletters. The newsletters are very, they're very detailed. So I know some of you do monthly newsletters. We do these kind of weekly updates for events and things like that instead. Then the other person, while I'm doing those emails, the co-directors, we have to, every time we, get a new member, we have to load them into new MailChimp for the new year. So they do the database work on that. Let's see, what else can I tell you? When I took over, I said I don't do any social media or website. I'm old and I'm not going to learn that. I'm sorry. So we've got 2 directors who are young and they do the social media, they do the website. I would say the big question I would have, if anyone has any ideas, is, and I know that they've put together some press releases, like how do you get people in your area to want to pick up some of these press releases so that we can get out the word about Impact Grant Chicago and the great grants that we provide and things like that to our newspapers, or how, I think that would be a question that I'd have.
Okay.
Let's see, what else can I tell you? I think that's
No, that's good. Let's move on. So Sherry Holcomb.
Hi, I'm Sherry Holcomb from Impact 100 Cincinnati, and I'm a board member as a VP of Marketing, and have a person that is also a board member that has the title of communications, which depending on what you're doing might sound like a lot, but we can always use more folks to help out. So this idea of developing a working committee to help with communications is very appealing to us. We do meet with other board members, other facets of our board on a monthly basis, but it's really just to work on the scheduling of our communications, because we found if events is sending out invitations or notifications, and then nonprofit is sending something out, and then somebody else is sending, we sometimes had too much happening, too many emails going all at the same time. So we have a group. I don't even think I'd call it really a committee, but we do have a group that does get together on a monthly basis to organize timing of communications. But most of the hands-on work to develop the communications is done by myself, my technology person who helps with the website, and then the communications person.
Okay. Thank you. That's perfect. Pam Smith, Pamela.
Hi, I am from Ojai, California, Ojai Women's Fund, and we are about 400 plus members, celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. So got a lot going on. When I first joined the committee a couple years ago, there was a small committee with individual tasks, and then last year it kind of went to just two people. Myself doing the newsletter, and then the communications chair, and that's a board position. We try to have co-chairs in all of our positions, all on the board. We call it a steering committee. But, recruiting people, as everyone has said, is difficult. We do have a strong working relationship with other committee chairs, because obviously our work touches all committees. When I became chair this year, I come from a junior league background, so I have a really strong affinity for committees, first of all, and for committees as a leadership development tool, secondly. So I tried to recruit a large committee, and like one of the other people said, we found that personally going to member welcome events was the very best way. We tried sending emails, blasts out, asking for volunteers, putting it in the newsletter, etc. Just didn't work. But the one-on-one appeals really allowed me to recruit about 7 people. And we do the divide and conquer, and we do have very few actual meetings, but I'm sort of tending now towards, now that we got people in place who have committed to doing just the individual tasks, I'm thinking, like someone said, and I like the way that she put it, to use it as a brainstorming committee. And we did have one committee meeting a couple of weeks or a couple of months ago, and that's what it actually ended up being. We started out with introductions, and we got a very good sense that everyone has very limited time. So that was a running theme, and we all recognized that, and which was good. But then, they just were so full of ideas, and many of them do come from the nonprofit sector in communications, that I feel like that's a better use of our time when we get together. And it also provides sort of a social aspect that I think sometimes goes missing with communications. You just end up being behind a computer and generating all this content, and you don't really just face to face have relationships, which I think a lot of our members join for that reason. And then the last thing I want to say is that we have a very robust calendar, and our current chair co-presidents realize how important scheduling is. And we're having a retreat in the fall to get ready for the following year, to try to set, the big events, and to try to make sure that we don't have all these, blasts going out simultaneously, and just the fatigue that members have to receive so much communication in short periods of time. So that to me is a real key to having a functional communications operation.
The calendaring, yes, and that's going to be the next thing we're going to talk about, because that makes all the difference in the world. Then you have a way to have people working on small projects because it's on the calendar. They see where it's going. I just have a really quick
share that. By the way, we share our most of our important documents on Google Docs, and that calendar is shared with everybody on the steering committee, as well as my whole communications committee, and it's color coded. So for instance, anything having to do with the newsletter has its own code, and anything having to do with social media has its own code, and it gets very, very specific. It's quite long, but everyone can see it. So.
Where would my announcement fit? So I do have a quick question. Someone is on here as iPad 5. Is there a person? Okay. So we'll go on. Let's talk about calendars for a moment. So thanks, Pamela, for sharing that, because it is really key. And if you aren't doing this, or if it's done at the board level and then it doesn't quite work down into communications, really suggest that you find a way to integrate it, because the board may appreciate saying, oh, wow, you're doing all this, because you don't just push a button and things pop out of your computer. It really you need some thought and knowing what's coming up ahead, and seeing that, oh, they're planning on making the announcements for finalists, or however it works in your organization, and you want to be part of that. And so having the ability to have something everyone can share. And sometimes there's reluctance, oh, only certain people need to know. But I would maintain the communications committee. Anybody working on communication should see whatever is available at the board level. I just think that's a fundamental with that. It makes things happen. And people may have good ideas. So one of the things and we still wrestle with this in Philadelphia, is we get inquiries and say, I want to be part of the communications committee. I have lots of good ideas, but I don't know anything about websites, social media, emails, email systems, but I would like to be there and give you more ideas. And so I wonder how you gracefully, yeah, we laugh about it too, like, oh, good. But I wonder how you gracefully either migrate them to something, or identify something that they can learn to do, or help them find another role in your organization. Anyone have thoughts on that? No? It's not a problem for anybody else?
It's a big problem.
Oh.
I would say we have another board member who's in charge of another committee who has lots of ideas for marketing communications.
Okay.
And most of them just aren't appropriate. She's very political. So she's wanting to push, a really political agenda on our social media. And, we just don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So the social media policies play. Anyway, do you have a magic way of handling this?
Judy?
I was just going to say that our virtual assistant is willing to train people on the different programs and platforms that we use. And so sometimes that gives us an angle. And if the interested person opts out at that point, we know they're not the right person. But often they're eager, not often, sometimes they're eager to learn something new. So we try them out on a short project.
Okay, I like that. That's a really good idea. Anyone else? Okay.
Judy.
Judy.
Judy, go ahead, Judy.
I was going to add that our strategic planning committee got a wild hair that marketing needed to beef up our social media with live action video and especially on our Instagram account. Cool. Well, to have it. Bring me the person that's going to handle all that. And our committee pushed back hard. We are not videographers. It's not our responsibility to go to events and gather the video. but we have invited the entire membership and created a special storage place for any photos or video that members, including board members, want to send to us, and we'll figure out a way to use it. As you would guess, we've had almost nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm with those who believe that those good ideas need to be backed by volunteer woman power, or they're not going to happen.
Yeah.
Judy, what we did when somebody gave us that great idea is we went to our grantees and asked them to do the 5-minute video, and they all did it because they saw it as publicity for themselves. And we said it could be like 2 to 3 minutes, just thank us, but also talk about what you do. We're going to post it on social media and to the website. And we got a great response. So
That's
it's just,
brilliant.
I'm just sharing that idea in case you want to do it approach it that way.
That's a great idea. Karen.
Several people have said, that the grantees supply information, and that happens with us. We have a community service committee that organizes volunteer projects with our grantees. And at this point, we've been around for almost 16 years. We have a lot of grantees, and we say, once a grantee, always a grantee. And so it's a long list of grantees that we keep in touch with. We have liaisons, but we also, at the same time, keep in our mind that we don't want to overload our grantees with too much responsibility, because some of them are quite small, and we just don't want to ask them to do too much. And I understand that it's in their interest to do it, but a lot of times they don't have the manpower either to do it. So I'm wondering what people think about, that, because we try to create a balance, but it's hard. We don't want to go to our grantees that often.
We look for ways to repost their social media. And
Yes.
then some of it can come into our newsletters if we choose. Each of our newsletters, and we only put out about 6 a year, will have a community partner profile. So when they are active community partners, I'm trolling their social media, because that helps me if I'm reposting something of theirs.
Yeah, we do the same. We look for their social media, we follow them. So that way we just repost it.
Yeah. And share it. It helps. And then you also grow your own audience too.
Mhm.
A lot
Right.
of people say, oh, I could do that. So there's that part of it. So anyone
Sherry?
else?
I was just going to say, we actually, we're developing, we call them mission moments. So we're always trying to find these mission moments and get them, some of them from reports, some of them we have our nonprofit partners come in and give a report. But I'm kind of trying to take it a step further. This year, actually, maybe other people already do this, but we didn't have this done, where our new grantees, which we award in September, are going to get a form that we are going to ask them to sign that says, you give us permission to use anything that's publicly available from your organization, so that they're the ones that get most of the content, right? They get the videos and the photos and the end user type stories. And if it's on their website or in one of their newsletters, I'm going to be asking for permission, just blanket permission, basically, to use any of those materials that we find. We're going to still give them the option to approve anything before we publish it, but it makes it more of a partnership, because I think you're right, Karen. We are trying to be very respectful of what the workload is that we're asking from our nonprofit partners as well, and our grantees. So that's kind of the way we're going to be doing it, is to use what they've already produced.
Oh, thanks for sharing that, Sherry. Anybody else want to comment on this? Okay. So how many people have somebody paid that does your website? Maybe 1, 2, 3, kind of. Sort of. Okay. And how many people here on this call are actually the one that edits the website? Okay. A few. Okay. Okay. I was just curious about that one. We may do some things on websites coming up. So I'm trying to watch the time here. So what would be a couple, I think this discussion was really, I hope it was helpful for everyone because you hear what people do. A committee does give you some opportunity for succession planning and making sure that other people know what to do. Like Sarah said, that was a great way to capture new people by going to new member orientation or the welcome or just getting to know them. You know, when you look at the profile of who just joined and you say, and zero in on them at an event and say, oh, I see that you do this or you work at this organization. And another part is to remember the smaller jobs are often more attractive and you can get people hooked that way. So if you can create something that is defined, like I love the idea of being, you know, where you're working on one specific event and you're the event liaison and then you come back and coordinate. Another thing we do with the Philanos communications, because there are a lot going out to Enterprise Philanos and all the affiliates and whole things, is we actually meet every Monday morning for better or worse. And we go through a agenda that Nancy keeps us on track with that. But we work on the newsletter and what are the topics coming up and we throw things in there. And sometimes it's a 30-minute meeting, sometimes it's an hour, but we found that really helpful that then everybody is synced up on what are the graphics we need and what are the Ellen posts on social media. And it's just coordinating it all. And so it may sound like a lot to have a weekly meeting and maybe for you it's every other week, but it does help. And we use a Google Doc to keep it straight so we don't have to publish minutes afterwards. We just have this Google Doc that we keep writing on and adding to and deleting and Xing out. And it does give us a way when we do get ideas, like, you know, a favorite is we really need to be talking about the good work that's going on in the 16 states for our Fidelity grant. Okay, that sounds really good. Now, who would that be? What would you suggest? You know, share the actual, yeah, that's a favorite. So, you know, we put that on there and remember to check in, but you have to have the content to post. And so it does give us a way to manage content or things that we think would also be interesting because our committee is very skilled and we have ideas and things that we want to promote. So there's that. So I want to put in, first of all, what would be a helpful topic for the next time, which would be in September? What would be just a couple ideas that you think would be the same way where we can round robin like this and talk about things? So, oh, okay. Other than, Sarah, do you want to just explain what you're asking real quick?
We are wanting to do a redesign of our website, and we currently use WordPress, and we have our virtual assistant really pushing to keep that. And then we have a very experienced member who's very keen on us using Wix. And so we kind of narrowed down our search to, or our exploration to those two. So I was just wondering if anybody's using something else that we should be looking at.
Sarah, you should look at Squarespace. That's the very popular one now.
Okay. Squarespace.
I'm sorry, I don't know how my Google. Yes, Squarespace.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very popular now. Wix is kind of going by the wayside and WordPress is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure Wix had ongoing support going forward.
Yeah,
so
they don't.
I didn't think, I thought they had stopped that. So I honestly wouldn't do anything that was going to not be maintained for the future.
Does anybody use a platform called Wild Apricot?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, that's what we use, and I am not a fan. I mean,
no,
you can really, because we just transitioned to it off of a WordPress-based site, and I am a huge fan of Wild Apricot at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little clunky.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think there's.
I was just saying, we used to use Firespring and just changed to Wild Apricot when I stopped doing Firespring.
Okay. Well, maybe I'm being too picky.
It is clunky. It's pretty pedestrian. Like I always say, it's made for it's very fundamental. And so you do have a way to get in there and use it. And if your WordPress site was set up with a lot of complicated nuances that maybe you didn't need, then I'm sure it's very welcome. You can integrate platforms to the Wild Apricot site. And so this is a discussion we're going on with Philanos right now. We're not going to do anything. Our conference is in February, and we rely on Wild Apricot for our registration and payments and all the things. So you won't see us changing, but sometime in the spring, it's a very, it's a big conversation right now, and we're looking. Other platforms, Weebly is another one that you might look at. And
also let me interject that Tech Talk on August 7th is bring your burning questions. So, you know, those of you with this, you know, this question has come up a bunch of times in Tech Talk, but it's no specific conversation. So you guys can bring these questions and we can talk about it there too.
Yeah. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, you want something that is universal so that you can have people that can come in and help maintain it and edit it and not be too challenging. Karen, you had your
we just revamped our website, and we had been using Wix, and our person who does the technical part of the website was comfortable with Wix. We use Wild Apricot for our membership maintenance for a lot of different things that we use in membership. And we did look at it because we do have Wild Apricot. We looked at it for our website, and it just had a lot of limitations. And as I said, our webmaster, who's a member volunteer and does excellent work, she was comfortable with Wix. And so we're sticking with it.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping as we go forward that, if they don't provide, ongoing information to us, or we can ask questions, that I hope that's not going to be a problem for us.
Right. So I really suggest going to the Tech Talk, or send someone from your circle just to sit in and listen if this is a discussion in your group. The next thing, I really just a couple really quick questions. Sherry?
I was just going to suggest that some people are suggesting external communications and PR, and I would echo that crisis communications is something that the planning for crisis communications is something that I would love to have a discussion on as part of that. Maybe it's something that you don't want to think about, but it's kind of come to light in our group because we actually have a finalist for one of our grants that is because of the work they're doing. They have received death threats and hate mail and things. And so that brings to mind that we have to be planning for some of those kinds of things.
Okay. No, thank you. That's a great topic. It's something Phil and us talks about it too, because we have people that there's just, everything's controversial these days. And so how to manage it and stay true to your values and manage within a respectful framework. So, okay. So just a quick plug. There was an email that went out this morning about our conference, and hope you'll take a look and be following that. It's going to be fabulous. We have so many great speakers to announce coming up, and you say, it's an expense, it's my time, but I can guarantee you spending 3 days with some really fabulous women, just like what we do on these calls here, it's an amazing experience, and you'll have so many ideas to take back to your circle. So really promote it in your circles. Early bird registration begins September 1st. And then the Tech Talk Nancy was just talking about, we have an events email that will go out on Thursday and highlight other groups. We have a grant makers group. September 2nd, we have a new group on young philanthropists. That's grown out of the cohort we did last year. And then membership roundtable last week, we talked about young philanthropists. I saw someone here talking about communicating with younger members. That is something we'll bring up, but I also suggest you go to and have someone look at the young philanthropist group, the affinity group. So September 2nd is their date there, and it's a new one. So hope to see you in September, and thanks everyone for your time.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.